The following program contains views that are not those of WVTC, iNetworks Communications, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or financial supporters.
Welcome to WVTC TV Network, capturing family moments in real time, bringing families closer together from the comforts of home. We are unleashing something different to the world. Start your subscription today for the low price of $4.99 per month or $55 annually. Go to www.wvtctvnetwork.com to sign up today. WVTC TV Network is streaming live on 8 different platforms. You can easily download the WVTC TV Network app on the Apple Store, Play Store, Roku, Fire TV, and more. Here at WVTC TV, we have access to movies that everyone can enjoy, including independent films, Sons of a Preacher and a Good Thing, Treasures of Life, the epic drama, The Passion of the Christ, and the box office hit Madagascar Escape to Africa. Remember, go to www.wvtctvnetwork.com and sign up today.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to the Live Dream Survivors Incorporated show. What this show is about, we're talking about different topics pertaining to domestic violence abuse. Also, I'm going to share a little bit about my nonprofit company, which is called Live Dream Survivors Incorporated. Live Dream Survivors is dedicated to creating a safe space for abused women and children recovering from the effects of domestic violence, and we offer support with job placement, housing, and counseling to help rebuild women and children. Um, and the reason I choose to talk about domestic violence abuse topics is because I am a 14-year survivor of domestic violence abuse. And I feel that this is something that is important to talk about because there are so many women and men that experience domestic violence abuse. I wanted to talk a little bit about is domestic violence abuse is it a generational curse? Um, and I suppose I'm going to have also a guest on the show this evening. I'm trying to see if she is on. Hello. Hello. Hi.
Hey,
Hey Tammy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for appearing on my show this evening.
No problem.
Um, um, Tammy, introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Tammy. I'm from Chicago. I am 42 years old. I'm a mother of one. I'm also a grandmother, and I'm excited to be here.
Okay. Well, Tammy is joining me. Hey, Latrice, how are you? Tammy is joining me this evening, and she is going to share a little bit about her story. She's also a domestic violence abuse survivor, and we're going to both talk about, do we feel that domestic do we feel uh, do we feel like domestic violence abuse is a generational curse? So, Tammy, I'm gonna let you take the floor for a little bit.
Hmm. Okay, well, um, I was in a domestic violence situation. It's been about a good 10, 15 years that I've been out of it now. It was the worst. Like, I cannot even begin to tell you how I felt alone. I felt that I couldn't tell anybody what was going on. I felt like nobody would believe me. And the person that I was with made me feel that this is what was supposed to be done. Um, the domestic abuse turned into sexual abuse, and it bothered me for a very long time. So I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. Some people can say, "Oh, you could have just left. Oh, you didn't have to be here. You didn't have to be there." But you never know what you'll do in a situation. So like I said, the person that I was with made me feel that, oh, if I don't chastise you this way, I don't love you. If I don't put my foot down, this relationship isn't going to work, or whatever the case would have been. It was just very hard to get out of it. It played a lot of mind games with me mentally, to where at one point I wanted to kill myself. I didn't want to be here because I didn't know how I was going to come out of it. It was really bad, and it just didn't stop. And the only thing that made it stop for me is when my grandmother passed away. All I could hear was something in my head telling me, if you can go the rest of your life not being able to talk to your grandmother or not be around her, you can leave the situation and you can overcome it. So that's what made me get out of it.
And what steps did you take to remove yourself from the abusive situation?
Oh, my first thing I had to do was cut off all communication with anyone that was dealing with that person at all in any way. So I had to cut off ties if it was a relationship that I had with one of his children, his sister, even mutual friends. I had to leave it alone because being in a domestic situation, an abuser would find any way to try to get in touch with you,
Mm.
any way they can. So I had to cut ties of everyone that had anything to do with the person. Um, oh, I have to just cold turkey it. My best thing I did was just cold turkey the whole situation.
Did you
Um,
have to relocate, or I mean,
where I worked, yes, not where I stayed. The only reason why, now this is interesting. The only reason why I didn't have to relocate where I stayed, my abuser was not the type of man, which most of them are like this. They don't like to address men. They like to deal with women because they feel they can overpower women. But when it's a man involved, they kind of shy away from things. And at
Mhm.
the time, my uncle was living with me, so he was very present. So he didn't want to have any dealings to do with like my uncle being there, or um any of my uncles. I had three uncles at the time. Two of them passed away. So he didn't want to have anything to do with any of my uncles and my god cousins. So he would drive past the house, but only thing he would do was drive past and keep going. But as far as where I worked, I had to relocate because that was all women, based
Mhm.
thing. So he felt like he can come through and try to force his weight a little bit. So I definitely had to relocate where I worked, but not so much where I stayed.
Yeah. Well, that was the good thing because man was crazy. He didn't care who was around.
Hmm.
If he gonna act a fool, he gonna act a fool. He don't even care. He didn't care about that.
Hmm.
So,
Well, I did go through some more with him. Because my domestic violence with him turned into sexual abuse.
uh,
It's crazy, and I thank God I came out of it. He would take pictures and record me. So
mm,
whenever he could not get next to me, like when I relocated where I worked and everything, he also posted things about me on the internet.
wow.
Yes, it was a lot. I went through a lot trying to get out of it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a lot. Cause that's like blasting your, your
Hmm.
character as you
And
being,
how
as you being
I
who you
found
are.
out through at the time it was called Yahoo Messenger. I
Okay,
was having just multiple people pop up in my Yahoo Messenger, like guys. And I'm like, who is this? I don't know who this is.
right.
And one particular guy, jumped on and was like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, hello, how do I know you? And I thank God for him because he finally told me, like, oh, well, I found your information on this site and da da da. I'm like, on a site? And
Mm.
he had to actually like navigate me through the internet to show me the site. And I was like, oh my God. So he ended up helping me get in touch with the site itself to get things taken down of me, my information and everything. But he was so upset with me because he had no contact with me. He posted things about me on a pornographic site just to get me to talk to him. And I still wouldn't talk to him after that.
So he didn't. Did you change your number or anything like that?
I didn't change. Yes, I did. I changed my number. I got a new phone number. And that was my only means of not talking to him anymore because he tried to call for a while.
Yeah.
So I had to change my phone number and everything just to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And it's
Gotcha.
crazy because even years after that, he would still pop up here and there and make new pages on social media and try
Just
to
a
get in
fact.
touch with me. And the last time he tried, I want to say it's been about 4 years, 4 to 5 years ago. And I was like, look, now I done had enough, at this point. So I had to block him off everything. And, so I haven't had any issues with him since then.
So how would you say that you have been coping since experiencing that?
Um, to be honest, I didn't cope well with it at all. I think that this new chapter in my life of me getting closer, honestly, to God and trying to get myself back in order is basically now me trying to break free from a lot of things that went on with me because
Right.
it started to like spill over into my now relationship. Like
Yeah.
certain things that he would say or do would trigger me.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. It was a whole lot to deal with because I would automatically think that, oh, this is going to happen again, what happened to me the last time. So
Right.
it's really from me fasting, praying, clearing myself, and counseling
You
that
started
helped me get
counseling?
through it. I did start counseling. I started counseling about 2 years ago.
Okay, that's good.
Yep, I actually started 2 years ago, and it was crazy because a lot of things that I thought that was not in me still was still in me, and
Yeah.
it didn't come out until I got to counseling and I talked to someone, and they was like, okay, this is that, but yeah, it was still in me.
Yeah. So would you has anybody else in your family experienced any domestic violence abuse?
Um, I can't say my mom have. If she has, I haven't witnessed it,
Mhm.
but I do know to be honest, my grandmother and my grandfather used to fight like cats and dogs,
Yeah.
like cats and dogs all the time. And when I was little, I would see it sometimes. It only happened when I was very small. When they got up in age, my grandfather, his health was failing. So it wasn't so much when I came into my preteens, but when I was younger, like little, like 5, 6, 7, it was really heavy with my grandmother and my grandfather. And I remember asking my grandmother when I was about maybe about 15, 16, like, why did you accept y'all fighting the way that you did or this and the other? And her words were, oh, well, that was my husband. So
She felt like she had to take.
yeah, I got kids, that's my husband, we gonna fight and we gonna get over it. So I felt like, oh, okay. So at an early age, certain things that I watched my family go through, not even with domestic violence, just period. I
Yeah.
watched stuff that my mom went through, my aunt, my grandmother, and it kind of embedded in my head, oh, this is what's supposed to happen in a relationship. If this
Yeah.
doesn't happen, well, it's not a real relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, it was something I think that trickled down.
Wow. Yeah. That's why it's important. That's why I asked the question, like, do people think that it's a generational generational curse,
I definitely
and
believe it is. I
I
definitely believe it
believe it
is.
is too. I believe it is too because
Mm-hmm.
several women on both sides, my mom and my dad's side, had experienced domestic violence, abuse, sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but the thing about that, most women um was old school. They stuck with their man no matter
Yes.
what.
Yes.
They wasn't, gonna let it go. They was gonna fight through it. And the thing that I feel like they went wrong with us grandkids is not talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like if you had talked to me a little bit more and explained to me
Mm-hmm.
why you were keeping me so close versus let me leave,
Yes.
let me be a normal kid. I'm gonna say normal kid.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
felt like some things I would have been able to pay attention to.
Yes. Yes. Because it's not until I honestly, it's not until I'm 42 now. It's not until up into the last maybe 5 to 10 years that I start realizing, okay, this ain't normal. This ain't
Mm-hmm.
supposed to happen. I'm not
Mm.
supposed to be going through this. I'm not supposed to be going through that. I should put my foot down here. I should put my foot down there. And then I get to the point sometimes where I say, I wish I had a time machine. If I can go back 15 years ago, if I can go back 20 years ago, if I can go back 2 years ago, a lot of things that I did, I would have changed and wouldn't have done. But the only thing that I can say I thank God for is the fact that I came out of it and I can tell someone else, not tell them because I don't want to tell somebody something because people have a thing of rebelling against you when you're telling them something.
And you telling them something,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I like to have a testimony to say, "Oh, you can get out of that." Like I'm telling you, if I can get out, you can get out.
And that's why I say that's why it's important for women like us to be able to share our testimony because it's happening every day.
Mm-hmm.
Someone is
Yes, it
experiencing
is.
this and some women not making it through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's important for us to share our stories. And yes, Tanisha, our stories is to help someone else. Our stories, believe it or
Yep.
not, you'll be
Yeah,
like, God,
will.
you took me through all this trauma just to help
Yes, Lord.
somebody else. Because that's a lot. It's a lot.
Yes.
And like you say, it deals with you mentally, physically, emotionally. And if there's kids around, it's hard to be a good mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could just only imagine my aunts that went through it, that had to get up the next day and be a mother, and they had to
Yes.
hold it inside that they were being abused. You know,
Yes. I had
um,
to do it in front of my mother and my grandmother because I stayed in the house with them. So things that would happen to me outside with him, when I come home, I had to put on a face like, oh, nothing happened. Like I remember one time he hit me so hard. He slapped me so hard on the side of my face. My
mm,
face was red, and I had like you can see the whips from his fingers. And you know I'm brown skin. I'm not light at all, so it had to be a hard hit. And
yeah,
I had whips on the side of my face from him, and it covered like my ear, my face, and it actually like busted a blood vessel in my eye.
mm,
And my face was red like it was on fire. It was so hot. And I didn't know what to do. So when I came in the house, I had to, walk past my family really fast and go in my room and be like, oh, I got a real bad headache. My head been hurting all day. I need to lay down. Just to have that from them. Or my
so how did
eye.
they not see it the next day?
Well, the next day, the whips, I had a good, I don't know what it was. I just had a good way of covering stuff up.
Okay.
So by that time, like, okay, I was working, I do hair. So working in the shop, at that time, I was getting up early, going into the shop. So I would
Okay.
get
See.
up before anyone would get up. I would stay sleep when my mom was going to work. And before my grandmother got up to move around, I would get up and be like, oh, I got an early client. I got to get out of here. And keep trying to put makeup on or ice my face. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Like I've gotten choked out to the fact I've almost passed out before. Like for no reason. Like I used to get hit with just like the people laugh about it, but like the blow of the wind.
Now,
It was
yeah.
just because. It was like just because.
Yeah, I believe you. You could say the
Yeah.
sky is blue.
Yeah. And if I
Like,
said the wrong thing that he didn't
yeah,
like, that was it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got choked driving one time, so I already
Driving is
know.
crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
arguing.
Yes, I
We
had
was
a lot of
arguing. He was
things.
arguing, and I disagreed with what he was saying and said something the wrong way, and he choked me while we were driving. While I was driving.
Yes. Yes, it's crazy. I got choked. The first time I got choked like that, I didn't know what was going on because all I asked was, can you make me a CD with a song on it for a hair competition? I was in hair school. And I needed the song to be playing while the judge was reviewing my mannequin.
Hmm.
And when he went to pick the song, I said, no, that's not the song that I wanted. I wanted this song. And the song the fight went from that to, I told you to buy me something to eat. And I said, well, I bought you a cheeseburger. And
Mm.
that wasn't enough for him because I only bought one cheeseburger. So because I kind of rebelled against it to say, well, I bought what I had enough for, he
He
stood
got
up, got mad, and grabbed me by my neck and choked me to where my feet was dangling and I was like losing air. And he just dropped me to the floor like it was nothing. And then kicked me like, get up. What you laying down there for? Yeah.
that's something.
Mm-hmm. It's
But
crazy.
no, it's good that you're able to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to, with talking about it, you're able to break generational curses. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, because you're able to talk with your family more about it. Versus what we had growing up. We didn't have
We
that.
sure didn't. Our parents was more like, sweep it under the rug, be quiet. We don't speak about that. Keep going. You know. But that's what
And
I, like you
how was
said.
his family though? Did his family know what he was doing to you?
Oh Lord. He was a mama's boy. In his mother's eyes, he did nothing wrong. In his mama eyes, that's my baby.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm sorry you had to experience that trauma in your life, and I'm thankful that you were able to escape, um to be able to be a good grandmother to your child, to be a good mother to your 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 daughter. Um and I just wanted to, because the show is about to be over soon. Um I wanted to leave some steps for um healing a survivor of an intergenerational trauma and violence. And the first thing it says is, oh, and thank you for sharing your story also. Tammy, you still there? You still there, Tammy? I don't know, we got disconnected somehow, but um these are some four steps um to break family curses from abuse. And it says find the root of causing your pain. Talk with other survivors and share your story with counselors or life coaches. Educate yourself with the tools to become healthier. Choose to become not just a survivor, but a thriver. Although intergenerational trauma survivors are more susceptible to repeating behaviors they've seen in their childhood and adolescence, rather it's being abusive and wait a minute, rather it's being abusive, uh, I'm sorry, rather it's being abusive in relationships or surviving abusive relationships themselves, you can break the generational curse. Um, and then another thing I want to share is how to forgive your abuser. First, we pray. You could read scripture, Matthew 5:44. Love and do good to the offender, Romans 12:9. Don't speak poorly of the offender, Romans 12:14. Release them from your punishment, Romans 12:17-19. Don't celebrate their failures, Proverbs 24:17. Treat them the way you want to be treated, Luke 6:31. And stop dwelling on the past, Isaiah 43:18. And then another inspirational quote I wanted to read is, forgive yourself first. Release the need to replay a negative situation over and over again in your mind. Do not become a hostage to your past by always reviewing and reliving your mistakes. Do not remind yourself of what you should have, could have, or would have been. Release it and let it go and move on. Sometimes it's hard to just move on from, the thoughts of a person being so nasty towards you, but when you start to move on, that means you're healing and you're able to someday be in a healthier relationship. And I listen, and we all do it. Tammy did it, I did it. We all sit and we talk about what we should have done, what we should have paid attention to. But we can't dwell on those things. We just have to learn how to move forward past it and think positive. It was never our fault. It was the individual's fault because we did nothing wrong. And so, Tammy, you still there? I don't know. I think she got lost somehow, but I think I have one more time for one more inspirational quote to read. And it says, Dear self, please. Yeah, that's true. Real quick, I just wanted to read real quick. Dear self, please stop going back to the same people who keep hurting you. You removed them for a reason. Yes, they may keep knocking on the door, but you don't have to keep opening it. Every time you do, they repeat the same cycle and you stay stuck. You deserve to be treated with respect. Sure, no one is perfect, but people who hurt your heart too much, never give it a chance to heal. It's finally time to let go of the people and things that don't make you feel happy and make you feel happy, love a whole. Trust me, I know more than anyone else love me. So just something inspirational to help anyone that's listening that may be experiencing this at this time. And my time is winding up. And so if there's anyone experiencing any type of abuse and you need any help, if you want to talk, please contact my nonprofit organization, which is Live Dream Survivors Incorporated, and contact us at 630-286-9514. And you can also call the domestic violence hotline. I need the domestic violence hotline. Huh? No, not that. I read that already. I need the domestic violence hotline. Nope. No. Okay, well, you guys enjoy your evening. Thanks for tuning in to the Live Dream Survivors show. Have a good evening.